Hey y'all, welcome to Cali Girl Blog Talk. I'm Callie. Thank you for joining me. And today I'll be reviewing Real Housewives of Potomac Season 7, Episode 5, The Burn Season. All right, you guys, so we start off with Ashley, who stops by Candiace's house for the first time. So Candiace is like, girl, I saw the headlines. I saw the thing. So what's up? And Ashley is like, yeah, it's unfortunate because we were planning to make a joint statement. Okay, we were going to announce the split together. She said, so he woke up this morning, Michael, he flew to Vegas, even though he just had a vasectomy on Friday. I said, okay. That's a speedy recovery. She said he's been ignoring her, but he did reach out finally to her and said that he wanted to talk, but he needed 24 hours. So he's in a space, according to her, where he basically is uncomfortable. He feels like he has no control and no autonomy in the situation. With a sense of confusion, Candiace says, okay, so how are you guys living? Because I thought that according to a separation, you had to live in two different houses. And Ashley, educated her, informed her and said, well, you can live together even though you are in a legal separation. You just cannot sleep in the same bed, and you cannot have, relations and things of that nature. They move on to where Ashley asks, Candiace, so how are you? And she's like, girl, I'm in a funk. And Ashley was like, well, the good thing about this group is it brings you out of the funk. I'm like, girl, what? Who? And Candiace was like, girl, you and the group is the reason why I am in a funk. I had to cancel my IBF because I've been under so much stress. And let me just add, Candiace looks beautiful. Her hair is what I'm referring to. Not saying that she's not beautiful, but I'm talking about her hair in this moment. It is lovely. All the curls with the ombre, the natural, very nice. I wish she would wear it more often. It's very nice on her. It looks good. And since Candiace and Gizelle, they didn't really talk at Robyn's Family Fun Day, Ashley was like, well, has Chris even felt like he should say to Gizelle, I apologize if I made you feel uncomfortable or some type of way or whatever. And Candiace is like, no, girl, he is not comfortable. He is not even comfortable being around the group, And Ashley is like, what? Candiace said, yes, he doesn't even want to be around Gizelle. And she said, I know Gizelle, and I have been around Gizelle and sat with her while she has plotted and schemed and, made up scenarios around other people in the group. She said, and Ashley, you know too, because you've known her longer and you're very close to her. My thing is you sat with her while she plotted and schemed on other people in the group. I hope you weren't okay with that. Anyway, Ashley was like, yeah, Gizelle, yeah, she does have some of my secrets in that box. And Candiace was like, yeah, I heard you was out, honey. You was in the streets down at the restaurant with hockey players and things like that. They laughing about it. So much so that, according to Candiace, Ashley is blushing. She's turning red. Ashley falls out the chair, laughing, hiding her face like she's blushing. And the truth is that she said it was all innocent. She was at the bar with some friends. She met a guy. They ended up having dinner. She had a nice time. They move on to other stories about the women in the group. And Ashley says, so many people used to come to me and tell me so much stuff about Karen and Ray, because they're talking about how small the city is and the town is and everybody is talking or whatever. And Candiace was like, yeah, Karen used to think she would sneak away and go to other restaurants and stuff, sort of out of town, out of the way or whatever. Candiace was like, but girl, we see you. I'm like, ooh. Candiace said, stuff I don't even want comes to me. And she said she saw Karen at a restaurant with someone who was not Ray. Okay, what does that mean though? They move on to where Candiace is now congratulating Ashley for being in this space of separation, approaching divorce. She's like, you deserve to go out. And Ashley was like, yeah, and I think Michael, he's, she's alluding that he's doing his thing. Candiace is like, yes, honey, he's always doing something. Ashley didn't deny it. She just smiled. Next, we see Habitual Liar, aka Mia. She's at home with the family. They're discussing the soft launch and grand opening of their 25th clinic. And she's like, you know what? This is enough. It was stressful this time around or whatever. Gordon's like, you say that after every clinic we open. 25 clinics is nonetheless successful. I wonder currently if they've gotten the situation straightened out as far as the family and them being, no longer a part of the business and the family sort of, snatched it from under their feet. I hope that's been worked out, because to have accomplished opening 25 clinics and have them all snatched away from you is nothing less than devastating. She said the kids are running a rampant. her health is a concern and she just doesn't know if she's coming or going. And she's like, pray for me. And I'm like, okay, when, girl? When you telling the truth or when you lying on other people and their husbands? When should we be praying for you? So Gordon says, with all that's been going on, on top of that, there's been this whole mystery of what's been going on with your health, and we still don't really have any answers. Although we're able to rule out a lot of bad things, we still don't have, I guess, a final diagnosis. But it definitely isn't cancer. That's good. And the next step is to get the lymph nodes and the lumps removed. So as a stress reliever, she's going to invite the ladies for a trip to Miami. So she says, so we need to discuss, what's off limits while I'm down in Miami. In her confessional, she said, 14 years ago, she had a girls trip with her friend Jacqueline, in Miami, and G crashed the girls trip. And although he was supposedly happily married to his ex-wife, they did end up having her and Gordon did end up having, that special drink that's called X on the beach. Yeah, so they did that. She said, they had a little voyeurism going on because she said they knew people were watching and they put on a show. But this time around, he won't be crashing the party because he will be back at home with the kids. So next we see Gizelle. She's with her girls. They're getting manis and petties. And she's planning for her daughter's sweet 16 birthday party, the twins. And then she's talking about how Grace is getting ready to move on and go to college. And can we just safely assume that Giselle's storyline every season will be to attempt to start mess in somebody else's marriage with the attempt to destroy it for our storyline. And outside of that, we will only see her with her daughters. And that is it. Like, that is what her contracted storyline is. I'm going to mess up other people's marriages, and then you're going to see me be a mother to my daughters. With the exception of that whole planned and plotted situation that happened with Jamal a couple of seasons ago with Monique and everything. Outside of that, this is what we get from Gizelle, so I'm just going to move on, okay? Manny and Petty planning for the Sweet 16 party. So next we see Robyn. She has an appointment with a lawyer, a family law attorney rather, so she stops by to discuss her options when it comes to a prenup and things like that. So she brings the attorney up to speed on, what's the purpose, what she expects, what she's looking for out of this prenup. And she says, she gives the background of what they were married, now they're remarrying and everything like that. And the lawyer is like, does he know that you're here? And she's like, yes, he does know that I'm here. He believes that this is unnecessary, but she says she believes it is necessary because you just never know. The attorney says, okay, well, in a prenup, everything is identified. Income specifically. Is there or are there some disparities with your incomes? And Robyn says, well, yes, I have a couple of successful businesses. And they flash to her hat business, her cap business, sports hat business, whatever. And the podcast that she has with Gizelle. And she says, if possible, I would like to leave those out. Like, basically, he cannot touch those. Robyn then asks, are there any clauses that we can include, such as infidelity? For example, if you step out, you get 0. The attorney said, well, that's up to you guys, but let me ask you, are there any concerns about infidelity? And Robyn said, well, that is something that happened in the past, which is what caused our divorce. She said she's a realist and she doesn't think that that's something that should never be considered because it happens. And she said, but she does not think that Juan is going to like that at all. And probably not. I would imagine, like, what if there was a clause that he could put in about you handling or mishandling the money? And as a result, he would be awarded something. But, hey, they got to do what works for them. Next, we see Ashley, Karen, and Wendy. Looks like they're meeting up at some type of flower patch. Like they're going to pick some flowers. And it's super cold. Okay, they're totally not dressed for the weather. It even looks cold. Anyway, they mentioned the headlines and, Ashley admits it's true. She said, I don't know who leaked it, but I'm not ready to talk about it. And I'm like, isn't your attorneys, your family, your publicists the only people who had that information? And if it's not them who leaked it, who did they leak it to? They move on and Karen says, Wendy, I was disappointed that I didn't see your kids at Robyn's family fun day. Wendy was like, my thing is, you cannot have Candiace pick up my minor children and have her bring them to a function that their mother is not even welcomed at. Like, for real, like, what the hell was Robyn thinking? Planet Pluto, for real. Wendy said, In this group, we all have miscommunications, misperceptions, things like that of each other. And I need Robyn to meet me halfway. I want us to get together in a safe space and air out our grievances. In her confessional, she said that she was hurt at first that she wasn't invited to Robyn's event. She said, but she does receive the feedback that has been given to her in the past, and that is she can be condescending. Okay, that's the impression that some of the women have of her. And she said, if we can come together and admit our faults, maybe they can move forward in a positive way. Girl, don't count on it. So she decides she's going to send a group text to the ladies saying, let's get together, kumbaya sort of thing. And Ashley is suggesting maybe you should send an individual text, specifically to Robyn, because it's really not about kumbayaing with all of the ladies. It's really about you and Robyn. Wendy was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I want it to come across that everybody is welcomed. And Ashley said, yeah, but you might need to go a little bit further with Robyn, saying, I know we're not in a good place, so on and so forth. Wendy was like, no, I'm not doing that. If anything, I will put that in a group text, but I'm not going to specifically single out Robyn and say it to her. Wendy was like, no, you act like Robyn didn't just do something to my kids, you want me to basically kiss her ass. And I'm saying, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not happening. You're putting too much on it. And I agree. So next we see Candiace. She's at home with Chris and her sister, and they're talking about her re-release of her album, and she picked a single called Insecure. And she said that Trina agreed to do the feature on the single. So yay for Candiace. That's a good look. Because she's not ready to put Deep Space on the shelf, she's going to do Deep Space Deluxe. Okay, so again, it will feature Trina on the single, and Trina also agreed to be a part of the video shoot. So that's exciting. I look forward to seeing the video. She then moves on to Wendy's invitation that was sent out to all of the ladies, and it's called the Burn Session, okay, where everybody can basically talk in a safe space without being interrupted. Candiace said lies. And I agree, because without a mediator, an objective mediator, child, everybody's going to get interrupted. So we see Ashley and Wendy in the car together. Wendy is talking about all this water that she has to drink, unfortunately due to kidney stones that she has. Ashley was like, is it painful? She was like, having 3 children. Wendy said, I will tell you, it's the closest thing to childbirth. Child, nothing I'd want to experience then at all. Unfortunately, because she's so busy, she doesn't really have a lot of time to, take in a bunch of water, because she would constantly have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, whoa, that is unfortunate, because the body definitely needs water. And if you have been struggling with kidney stones for years and you want to continue to take on all of these businesses and everything and not pay attention to your body, that's not good, because without your body, how can you handle a business at any rate? In her confessional, she talks about all the things that she has going on, school, the children, I guess this here, Real Housewives of Potomac. And then also now she's looking to open a new restaurant. And I'm listening saying, but Wendy, you're talking about all of these things as though it's something that you have to do. Like everything that you're doing is a must. Now, I get it. You already have some things signed, sealed, and, you have to deliver. But the restaurant, why now? You know what I'm saying? Why now? What about the candle business? Yeah, I get it. She wants to, venture off and do new things. I heard her interview with Carlos King and stuff on his podcast and everything. And I get it. You want to do some of everything because you're trying to find the new you, considering that you've been living under the shadow of what your parents wanted you to do for your life and your career and everything like that. But you have to understand that you can only take on so much at the same time. That's for anybody, unless you have a whole bunch of assistants handling your business. And who wants to put majority of their business in the hands of an assistant? Okay, that's how things fall apart. Anyway, so along with Wendy and Ashley, who are riding separately, the other women are gathering in the Sprinter that Wendy provided for them, and they are heading to her burn season session. So while the ladies are gathering in the Sprinter, with the exception of Karen, everybody is talking about how the text that Wendy sent was the fakest text that they've ever seen, and nobody responded because everybody was considering not showing up. It was a struggle for them. And I'm like, what was Wendy supposed to say? Bitch, show up to my session, ho? Would that have been more real? Would that have been more realistic, Robyn? More appropriate and to your liking? Back in the car with Ashley and Wendy, they're talking about, taking care of each other's health while you're under stress, what's sustainable, what's not. For example, Ashley was on the path of not drinking anymore, or not at this time. However, under stress, she's had a couple of drinks. Wendy is saying that, she feels like the world has glorified being booked and busy. True. And she said that, however, her mom was recently rushed to the hospital because she had some lab work taken at a routine appointment, and some of her levels were elevated. And in that moment, a light bulb went off for her and said, if I don't take care of my health in 30 years, I'm going to be my mom. So although it's unfortunate that her mom was rushed to the hospital, I'm glad that that was a light bulb for Wendy. So the ladies arrived, they're pulling up, and production is hilarious because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this season, since it started off talking about spring, okay, they were in the spring season when they filmed. However, every time the ladies get together beforehand, production always shows an image of something dying, a tree, a flower, what have you. There's a storm, something is always going on, but it is not cherry bloom blossom positive at all. It's hilarious. As the ladies are getting off the bus, in her confessional, Candiace says, we all know what happens when you invite wild boars to a winery. And they flash back to what happened with her and Monique. And I'm like, you're calling Monique a wild boar. That's what you're insinuating. But let's not forget, Candiace, you asked for what you got. Remember, you were in her face. You did ask for it. I'm not saying Monique was right, but I am saying you did ask for what you got. So let's not omit that part. All the ladies get there. They sit down. Let's go. So they place their orders, and Gizelle says, so Ashley, girl, the memes about your separation with Michael are out of hand. Are you okay? And Ashley is like, I'm glad that everybody supports me. However, not at the expense of the father of my children. She said again that Michael is not really talking to her. He FaceTimes with the children, but once the children are off the phone, he hangs up. Wendy explains the process of this burn session, how they're going to do it, what the objective is, and that is everyone will get a notepad, and when you're on the hot seat, when it's your turn, you get to write down what you have to say to someone, and then once it's said, you rip off the paper and burn it. Mia said, well, are we allowed to speak back? And Wendy said, yes, but the purpose is to take ownership of the feedback that you're receiving. We'll see how that goes. In her confessional, Gizelle said, I've known Wendy for 2 years and she's never been accountable for anything. And I don't know their personal relationship, but I know based on what we've saw on the screen the past 7 years, Gizelle, you have not been accountable for anything. Okay, so when you want to talk about accountability, don't exclude yourself. Because even when you apologize, it seems insincere because you just jump from one person to the next person and do the same thing. So sorry for what? That person or for your overall actions, period. They flash back to last season where Wendy read Gizelle for filth when it comes to her using storylines as a part of destroying marriages and, putting rumors out there or what have you. And that was one of the moments outside of Monique where we seen Gizelle just basically put in a corner and she couldn't claw her way out no matter what she did or said. And so she is in her feelings about that. On the other hand, Wendy in her confessional said it takes two to tango, you know what I'm saying? And then they flash back to Gizelle spreading that rumor. While she claims she's not spreading the rumor, she's spreading the rumor. She's not doing it outside of filming it. She's doing when they're filming. She's doing it on camera. So girl, what rumor were you trying not to put out there? Lies you tell. So Ashley starts and she says, Wendy, I felt like basically it was a struggle for us to build a friendship, but I feel like now, we've broken that barrier. And therefore, my affirmation for you is that you continue on this path of being open and to help your friends become closer to you and be heard by you. Candiace says, okay, Wendy, I didn't write anything down, but you're my friend, so I can just speak from my heart. And she said, I met you, and when I did, it felt like you had a wall up, and I understood that because I too can have a wall. However, I feel like you have let that wall down. You are more open and you are more trusting of us, some of us. And my affirmation for you is for the guck the biatches and get the bag. And girl, that's something both Wendy and I receive, okay? Karen is next and she says, okay, Wendy, you and I both started off on a rocky path, but we've made so much progress, so my affirmation is continued growth to you. Mia starts off saying, okay, so my affirmation, you might want to burn. She says, sometimes, Wendy, you are very dismissive. She said, I'm proud of you hosting this event today because up until today, I felt like there was no self-accountability. Says the person who claimed that Candiace's husband was staring her down at Karen's party, like, you know, his tongue was all out, you know, like a dog, like he was really feeling her like that. No self-accountability. It's the audacity. It's the audacity. Wendy said, okay, I'm not going to be shady, as she received the little note, because, you know, they're all supposed to write notes and then burn it if so fitting. And Wendy said, I'm not going to be shady, but I am going to burn this. In her confessional, Mia said, I really want to like Wendy, but she's hard to like, but I think she's going to receive this feedback because she wants to make friends. Again, says the person who makes up lies in an effort to make friends with Gizelle and Robyn. Next, it's Robyn, and she says, honestly, Wendy, we are oil and water, and I'm fine with that. That is Robyn's note. She rips it off and passes it down. Wendy said, okay, Gizelle, your turn. Gizelle says, well, ditto that. Also to ditto what Mia said, you went on an I hate Gizelle train for a year. She said, then you see me and try to hug me very fake and phonily. I said, phonily? That's a new one. I never heard of that. But she's referring to the greeting that Wendy tried to give her at Karen's party. She said, so I'm good on you. Immediately, Ashley says, do you hear that? Wendy said, I heard everything that everyone had to say. And Robyn, you say that we are oil and water. And I want you to know that I own the part that I played in making you feel that we are oil and water. Side note, going back to Wendy's interview with Carlos King on his podcast, she said that she was so thrown off by Robyn last season because her and Robyn outside of the show were friends, talking on the phone all the time, texting all the time, whether it was about something or just, hey girl, what you doing? I didn't really want nothing, just checking on you. So she was so surprised that by the time they got back to the show, Robyn was acting the way that she was toward her last season, as well as I guess this season. So it seems to me that according to this interview with Carlos King, Wendy was a little bit confused by Robyn's actions, I'll say. And if that is true, it's interesting that Robyn will say that they are oil and water. But outside of the show, prior to filming, you guys were gelling, according to Wendy. Candiace said, well, Robyn was specific about how she feels or how you made her feel. And Wendy said, but I can only speak to what's on the paper. She didn't list specifics, right? She just said we're oil and water, and I'm cool with that. Gizelle breaks in. Don't nobody got no time to be writing down no soliloquies. She's addressing Robyn, Gizelle. Continuing to yell, Gizelle is like, you know what you did to her? Good God, just speak on it. And I'm like, Gizelle, why are you sitting there so rough and tough with your Afro puffs in regards to Robyn? Gizelle said, you the one said you was going to own what you did, so what you do? And both Wendy and Candiace said, well, Robyn needs to tell her. Robyn said, please do not tell anybody that I tried to fight you anymore because that is not who I am. They flash back to an event where Wendy was with some of the ladies, Ashley and some other women. And she said, you felt like Robyn was trying to fight you. And she said, well, she approached me. And when you are approaching someone to where it's to the point where people have to restrain you, then yeah. Robyn said, please be careful in your words because that is dangerous. And I'm like, not words. You guys are not talking about what words are dangerous considering what's been happening so far this season as well as last season and all the seasons prior. You want to talk about words are dangerous? Hypocrite! Wendy said it's dangerous for you to have been held back. Robyn was like, I wasn't held back. But we all saw 2 episodes ago when Wendy told Robyn to stand on it. Here go Robyn getting up. I'm standing on it. I'm standing on it as she's approaching Wendy, who's seated. Yeah, you like to approach people. Certain people. Wendy said, girl, maybe you were so drunk you don't even remember. Wendy is ready to move forward because of course they're not going to get anywhere. Ashley is like, no, let's just dispel that one. But then if they're not going to agree, how can it be dispelled with the exception of just saying we don't agree? So let's move on. Wendy said there's nothing to dispel because that's my truth. And Robyn said that's not your truth because that's a lie. I guess that's her truth that she's going to stand on, Robyn, whether you like it or not. Robyn is all upset. I'm not a thug. I don't put my hands on people. Wendy said, nobody called you a thug. Wendy said, you are projecting on yourself. Robyn is steadily yelling, for you to be saying that I tried to fight you, that is painting me as a thug. I mean, just somebody having a fight makes them a thug? I mean, not necessarily. I guess it depends on who you ask, because a person having a fight, altercation, a little, struggle, a little tussle, that doesn't mean they're a thug. But again, it depends on who you ask. Anyway, Robyn is like, hold on, I need a moment before we move on because Charisse is on the phone. So she put Charisse on speakerphone. Let's hear what Charisse has to say. Mind you, they're referring to the event that Ashley had where all the ladies showed up to do the little dance class. And so she says, Charisse, did you have to put one finger on me, to stop me from approaching Wendy? Before Charisse gives the answer, good old production shows us the flashback where not only did Charisse had to pull Robyn back, she actually had to stand up and stand in front of Robyn, put her hands on Robyn's shoulders like, no, girl, no, like calm down, while Robyn kept trying to get to Wendy. Right after that flashback, Charisse straight light on the phone and said, no. They say, thank you, love you too. Here go Gizelle. So why the lies? They don't know that we are watching according to what production just showed us, as well as we remember what happened 2 episodes ago. Wendy is cool, calm, and collected and said, your truth, my truth. Meanwhile, both Gizelle and Robyn are now yelling. I ain't gonna say screaming and hollering, but they are yelling very loud. She just said it didn't happen. Robyn is like, you are horrible. They don't know that they looking a whole fool on camera. I guess they didn't know how shady production was gonna be this season, huh? Here go Wendy. Why are you yelling? Here go Robyn. Because you are horrible. Back to Wendy. Maybe you should control your emotions. Back to Robyn. At the top of her lungs now. I don't give a for the guck. I don't give a for the guck. I don't give a for the guck. Girl, you look like you giving that and more. You look bothered. You look a tad unhinged. Okay? You're looking a fool. When you're telling the truth, the last thing you have to do is scream and holler at the top of your lungs. Absolutely. Because the truth will prevail. It'll come out. You don't have to chase down a lie. The truth is going to come. You state your case and then you wait for the truth to be revealed. It'll reveal itself just like it did when production showed us the flashback of the scene. So I don't know, Robyn, if you're confused on the event that Wendy is talking about, but she's talking about the most recent one. Not able to control herself, she says, I'm out. Robyn gets up and she's like, you know what? This is total BS. I'm out. So she leaves. In her confessional, she said, Wendy brought us here in an attempt to move forward, but she's still trying to prove me wrong. Therefore, there's no moving forward here. Karen was like, I'm not sure why Robyn left. It's really defeating the purpose of why we all came together. And here goes Gizelle. If she doesn't want to sit here and be a part of the phony fake shit again, then she can leave. Karen said, honestly, all the screaming and hollering came from your side of the table, and I'm trying to figure out why. Gizelle talking about, I'm loud. I talk loud. I just wanted to make sure everybody can hear me in the group. Karen said, it doesn't help the group to move forward, Gizelle. In her confessional, Karen said, I'm done. The evil spirits of the winery belongs to Gizelle and Robyn. Here come bandwagon Mia, again, the girl who lies to make friends, and said, well, she was addressing your response. And Wendy was like, that's not how you do it in therapy. Mia was like, is this therapy? Because we need a therapist if this is therapy. True, I already said they're going to need a mediator because it ain't going to work without one. In her confessional, Gizelle said, this is not a therapy session, Wendy, and you are not a therapist. You have a lot of degrees, but it ain't in psychology. Matter of fact, you are just the doctor of being whack. The nerve and the pot calling the kettle black. Robyn is unwinding in the Sprinter, and Ashley says, I do have something that I would like to address with Candiace. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know they needed addressing. I thought they were already in a better place. Ashley was just at Candiace's house, said nothing. She gets to this event and says, so my friend was at Karen's spring party and she mentioned that Chris was being a little flirty with her. I'm like, are you serious, Ashley? Ashley continues and says, yeah, my friend was at the bar ordering a drink and Chris walked over and like he leaned in, like she's imitating someone who's sort of leaning into another person's space. And then Candiace like, you know what? Let me ask you, what is the purpose of this? She said, because we were together in my home. Here go Ashley, how convenient. This came to me after our visit. Candiace said, okay, and you couldn't have called me, texted me, nothing? Ashley said, I knew I was going to be seeing you, so wouldn't you rather me tell you to your face? The very person who doesn't like all of her business being out on social media is airing something like this that should be a private conversation in front of all of the ladies and us, the viewers. It takes the strength of Job to be on this show with these ladies. Candiace said, I have come to you privately because I wanted to be respectful of you. And they flashed back to when Candiace got those text messages when they were on the little girls trip. And it was at the time of filming when she got the text message. This, however, happened not during filming. Therefore, Ashley, you could have contacted her outside of filming, but you waited. Candiace didn't wait. It happened in the middle of filming. You, however, Ashley, waited until the cameras were rolling. And this is not a burn session conversation. Now, Ashley want to act all indignant and, offended, talking about, well, Candiace, you want to call Michael a predator in every which way. But see, you didn't have that problem when you were just in her home and eating her crackers and everything off of her charcuterie board, right? No problem. Now, all of a sudden, you have a problem with him being called a predator. She's been calling him a predator since the beginning of her time on the show. And then Candiace said, well, it is documented. She said, is it not true? Ashley said, it is not true. So, Ashley, is this about Michael being called a predator? Or is this about you're wanting to inform Candiace that her husband is flirty, according to some lady? She said it hasn't been proven in a court of law, child. I don't mean nothing. A lot of actions have not been seen or proven or brought in front of the court of law. Don't make it any less true. Anyway, Candiace said, you don't have enough going on in your own lives, so you want to bring drama to my door. She said, this is the third time that somebody in this group has come to me and told me some bullshit to get about my husband. Here go, Ashley, but why are you getting defensive? Candiace said, because I see the pattern and I'm not going to ignore the pattern. Ashley said, has anyone said anything about Chris in the past? And Candiace said, not to my face, but that's not the point because you guys give everybody a turn every season. So it didn't apply in the past. It didn't apply in the previous seasons. You guys are making it apply this season for a storyline. Ashley is now trying to paint a picture. Well, do you think that Chris is doing something different this time? He's acting a little bit different. She said, because Mia also said that she felt like Chris was looking at her at the spring party as well. Candiace said, what? Mia said he was. We already saw when production showed us on camera in the previous episodes where Chris was not looking at her, not at a single moment. No matter how loud she got, how many times she tried to dip it low, he wasn't paying no attention to her. She said, but I didn't say it was sexual, but he definitely was staring. Now here go Ashley looking like, wait a minute, what? Candiace was insistent and said, Chris is not doing any of these things. He's not doing it. Here go Ashley. He did. Ashley gives herself away when she says, just remember, the pendulum always swings itself the other way. Again, so this is your plan and your plot. Okay, you're saying you gave it to me. Now I'm going to give it to you. But the thing about it, Ashley, is what she said about Michael was true. Everybody was saying it. But for some reason, you have a big problem with the fact that Candiace said it. Ashley said, it don't feel good, huh? Like, this is fun to her. Like, she is getting a lot of pleasure out of this. And you was just sitting in this lady's home. Like I said, the strength of Job. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, open your Bible and crack it to Job 1:1. Not Job, Job. And Candiace caught it and said, aha! There it is. There it is. Like I said, she gave herself away. She gave herself away. In her confessional, she said, I knew it and I should have kept my eye on that bulbous forehead bit. She said, I knew it, but I went against my better judgment. She said, Ashley, you come from a place of vindictiveness, nastiness, and evilness. While Ashley is yelling, no, looking around like, oh my gosh, how could she say this about me? That's not my character at all. When in reality, Ashley, it's all of that. And you don't care. You like it. Candiace continued and said, you are a lying, vindictive bitch. Ashley said, oh, so you just want to turn a blind eye? Because if that's the case, just say so. And when it comes to turning a blind eye, Candiace said, well, you would know. Karen said, ooh. Ashley said, I addressed my husband and my relationship very well. Okay. Even Gizelle is looking like, girl, now, wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. Do you? Ashley said to Candiace, now whether you do or not remains to be seen. She said, I also heard that Chris has been in some other DMs that are not as innocuous and innocent as mine's. Wow. Everybody is sitting there with the surprise open mouth faced emoji look. Okay? Like, what? And the episode ends. All I can say is Candiace, Wendy, and all of the other ladies who have experienced this wrath that both Ashley and Gizelle likes to pour out on you and your marriages. I hope that check is good. Ooh, I hope that paycheck is worth all of this. I really do. That being said, the episode ended. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. And until next time, you all take care. Be blessed. Peace.